You can swap between horizontal and vertical mode really quickly now without the need for extra parts. This plate is Manfrotto if you want to take it off and put it on a tripod. This is Arca. You can use it with the tethered control handle, which if you're already using these grips is really handy. This little switch right here unlocks the ability for your joystick to now zoom your power zoom lenses, but also works with clear image zoom. The tilt arm has been extended to balance heavier setups. These are all now Teflon coated, and a bunch more things which we're going to cover in this video. Let's just jump straight into it. Previously, if you wanted to swap between horizontal and vertical mode, you needed an extra accessory. Or if you used the RS3 Mini, you needed to remove some plates and do some other things. It's now a lot easier on this. You simply loosen this off just here. Obviously you want to lock the gimbal first. Push these two buttons in, pull this out. You then flip this on its side, and you'll see right down here, this is where you're going to click it in. So push those two in together, slide that in like that, and that's it. You need to slightly rebalance it occasionally, but that is how you can now swap between horizontal and vertical mode a lot quicker without additional accessories. To go back to horizontal, for reference, it's just as easy. Loosen that off, push those two things in, remove it, and then back into there, lock it back up, tighten it back up, and that's it. The auto lock screen will come in handy if you ever accidentally touch the screen while using it. You can specify how quickly you want it to lock or not at all. You can also change the screen brightness so that when it does lock, it automatically dims that display to save you battery. Let's change it to 30 seconds. We'll go back. I'll speed this up. But when it's locked and dimmed, you'll still see that you're able to see what mode you're in and the joystick control as well. Now, the first time that we saw this, everyone was very much impressed, the auto lock. Well, this is the second gen version of that. Now, the big thing that they've done here is when you lock the gimbal, they have reduced the wiggle now. So this really doesn't move around at all compared to the RS3, where there was a little bit of play there when it was locked. You can turn it on or off. You can control whether it recenters and locks or folds and locks. You now have control to do that when it goes into sleep mode as well. So if I just tap the lock button now, it goes to sleep and locks them. The axes arms have been coated with Teflon. If you're not sure what Teflon is, it's something that you get on your pots and your pans to stop things from sticking, which means that when you're balancing this now, these arms move in and out a little bit smoother than what you're used to previously. Now, if you ever want to go between using on your tripod and the gimbal quickly and easily, this part of the plate here, the receiving part on the dual layered plate, that is actually Manfrotto, the Manfrotto standard now. And then the bit up top there, which is this part, so going into here, that is Arca. And you still have the knob on the side there for more finite adjustments, as well as all the markings on there, so you know you don't have to rebalance it. You can just remember the number and put it to there and you'll be good. I am a massive fan of this knob right here for the finite small adjustments. I would personally love to see that on all the axes. Now, depending on the camera model that you use, I use the FX3, but it does connect via Bluetooth for recording. That's something we previously had. So I can hit record here and it will trigger the recording on the actual camera itself, and you can stop the recording by pushing it again. But now this little switch on the side here unlocks the ability for the gimbal to control a power zoom lens or clear image zoom if you're using a Sony camera without the need for one of these. So by standard, you're used to moving the joystick and it controls the gimbal, and you can specify that to work as fast or as slow as you want to. But if you now move the switch up, you'll see it displays this little zoom. And this now allows you to wirelessly control the zoom if you have a power zoom lens, or if you want to use clear image zoom, it works with that as well. So you can see now that it's actually zooming, if you look at the screen, on the camera, and there's no cable attached, so you can zoom in and out. So with Bluetooth, you can now start and stop recording, but also control the zoom. The tilt axis arm has been extended, which allows it to balance larger, more cameras, more combinations of different camera and lens setups. You've probably been in the situation before where you're balancing a heavier setup and you can't move the camera enough to, within the gimbal's clearance of its arms, to get it properly balanced. That arm has actually been extended by 8.5 millimeters, which for you and I equates to a maximum payload weight now of 3 kilograms on the RS4. In terms of actual stabilization of the gimbal itself, it's been fantastic in gimbals for years, to be honest with you. But this now has their 4th gen stabilization algorithm in there. We don't know a huge amount about algorithms and how they work, but we just know that they get better, and I'm assuming that being the 4th, this is the latest and greatest they have. You also now have the ability to click and hold the trigger and change what happens. So right now you can see that it's set to lock. What that means is typically when it's released, it's following all of your movements, but if you click and hold it, it doesn't take any of your movements. Well, now if you swipe up and go across, you can click on push and hold trigger, and you can actually change that to be FPV mode if you wanted to. So now you'll see if I click and hold that trigger, it goes to FPV mode. So you can hold it and then be in FPV mode just quickly and easily. But yes, you still do have your switch on the side there, which allows you to change the modes that way as well, if you prefer to do it like that. You've probably noticed this throughout the video, but the plate now has native support for rods. So you can put a rod through there without needing to attach something additional, which you needed to do before, and use the focus motors. Now I'm using the Sony 24-7. I actually like to put a gear on here to control the zoom. I use that a ton at weddings, just to quickly zoom in and out with the dial there. But if you wanted to use a cinema lens, you could use it to the aperture or the focus. And because this obviously supports more weight, you can now use cinema lenses a bit more confidently. And if you're using a power zoom lens, that now means you can control the focus and the zoom from the gimbal directly. Focus by means of the dial, and using the joystick to zoom in and out, it's just going to show clear image zoom obviously, but if it's a power zoom, then that would zoom the lens. The speed of the motor has been improved 30%, and you can adjust your torque within the menus, as well as your direction and speed. This also now works with this, the BG70 high capacity battery grip. This thing, which is a much bigger version of the handle battery grip. This connects in the same way. We're gonna unlock here, push and hold this button, release, put the new one in, attach those legs to that. And now you have an extended battery grip, which you can hold much nicer with two hands. Actually feels a lot better. And this gives you 29.5 hours of battery life. But this USB-C port on the bottom here gives you even more of a reason to want something like this potentially if you need to power things, because that offers up to 18 watts of power output. So you could power your camera, you could power a monitor on the side if you wanted to. If you're powering your camera, it'd be a big USB-C cable, but the option is there. Now we're gonna take this back off because it doesn't fit in frame very well. If you're not already part of the channel and subscribe down below, consider hitting that button. It doesn't cost you anything. You can cancel any time just by clicking it again, and it does help the channel. Most people that watch this channel aren't subscribed, so I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Now, as good as that big double handle is, my favorite way to use the gimbal is with the dual handle twist grip, which goes on the one side here, on the NATO rail, and then this one goes on the other side. And if you're looking at this and wondering what it is, this is the tethered control grip. Tethered meaning it plugs in via a cable. Now the way that this all connects and works is on the left handle here, you attach this little part which comes with it. So the pins here will talk to the gimbal via means of this. And this gives you full control of the gimbal without physically having to touch the middle part. Now, depending on the setup that you're using, there's two places to plug this in, either at the top here, which is where I have it, or at the bottom down here as well. It actually attaches to the gimbal right here. And then when the gimbal is on, if you push and hold the sleep button, you'll see that the lights come on here, turns on once it hits 3, and now you can control the gimbal entirely via this tethered control here. You can still view the screen. The record button there sends a Bluetooth signal to trigger recording on the FX3, and then you can stop it again. You still got your trigger there, you still got your focus control, as you can see works. It's just nice to have that on the side. I personally like to use these grips for weddings. It makes it a little bit easier on your back. You don't have to hold it like this the whole day. And before, I would hold it like this to make any control adjustments or change the angle of the camera, but now it's just there. It feels a lot more natural. I like having that there. And that is the Ronin RS4. If you like this video and you may be looking at something a little bit smaller, check out this video up here, which is also a gimbal from DJI. Perfect for travel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.